Do you want to look like one of the heroines on the front of a Gothic romance novel from the 1980s? It's a niche vibe today, but it's just a makeup look. I can help with that. Let's do a tutorial together. Listen, I'm sorry. I know it's been a month. I know that's bad. Genuinely, all I can say is every time I planned to film, I would get to that day and I'd go, I don't want to put on any makeup, actually. I was having a really nice time not wearing it as often. But I'm here now and I'm gonna do this tutorial now and we're gonna vibe together, hopefully, fingers crossed. Those who know that I've been wearing the House Labs foundation pretty much non-stop since it launched in Australia. However, I recently found my shade in this. This is the Mool Essential Skin Nuda Cushion. And I know everyone said that this cushion was amazing, but it's very hard to believe until you find that right match and you get to see how it actually sits on the skin. Totally bare, just skin prep. Isn't she pretty? She's very pretty, in my opinion. You don't have to agree with me. It's my channel, so I get to say what's pretty. Color correction, as per usual, I'm using peach under the eyes, and then I'm going to assess and maybe add a little bit of green into some areas if there's redness peeking through. Over the last couple of weeks, I've been needing to do this because I've had another dermatitis flare-up, specifically in my smile lines, which is very unfortunate. Like, I think you can see a tiny bit peeking through, so I'm just with a very light hand. And I'm gonna melt it in with the clean finger. Color correction shouldn't be obvious. You shouldn't see like obvious patches of green and peach on the skin. It should really just neutralize the discoloration that's there. A drugstore product in one of my tutorials. Odd, peculiar, a little bit strange. I don't wear a ton of drugstore, not because I don't like it, but just because I never had the chance to try it. When my mother started me on makeup, she started me on MAC, so that was my benchmark for how much I was willing to spend. However, Shelby, I feel like I could just say Shelby and people would know, but Shelby on TikTok, a mutual of mine, put me onto the L'Oreal Infallible Concealer. What a hell of a concealer. This thing flattens out my under eyes like nothing else. It's very full coverage, perfect for this look because those women on the front covers of these pulpy novels, they're flawless, obviously, they're paintings. And I'm trying to emulate that flawlessness, so I want to look smooth and porcelain. House Labs concealer brush. Begin pressing in. This is going to preserve as much coverage as possible, and also if you use a damp sponge over the top of a cushion foundation, what I find is there's a tendency to actually lift and disrupt the cushion because you're introducing moisture that previously was not in the base. So I've been liking my brushes with the mool. I know I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. mool cushion foundation. Okay, so for blush, the novel covers I'm referencing for the vibe here are often from the 1980s, and blush was a moment. There really wasn't this whole principle of you can't do bold eyes and bold lips and a bold cheek. Everything's kind of there for some true rock and glam. So I'm gonna dip into a Half Magic Sexual Flustration with their brush. I keep my little favorite Half Magic blushes in this little Z palette with some of my favorite single eyeshadows. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be a little bit more cheekbone based than I have been in the past with my blush placement. You kind of see what I'm building. You see where I'm going with this. We can layer on more if we want, but for the time being, using the clean cushion buff or just whatever's left over on it, not like a freshly washed one, to make sure everything is blended. Usually with this formula, I apply a base layer before I've set anything, and then I go back in once I put some powder on, just to make sure the clarity of color is there. Isamaya Beauty Sculpting Stick in Rosewood. Do I think this is a great contour color for me? No. Do I think this does the trick? Regardless. Yes. This is apparently the coolest tone that they have. I went on the day that Isamaya Beauty launched in Australia. I was looking at all their sculpting sticks for the fairer end of the complexion spectrum, and this was the coolest tone they had, which I'm gonna need you to bring out something grayer. I'm gonna need you to bring out a true cool toned contour, because this formula is so beautiful. I'm willing to overlook some of my color curation issues with it. If you're a little bit more warm toned than I am, because I'm very cool toned, so even neutral tones can pull quite warm on me, I think this would be stunning on you. I think this would be perfect. Oh, that brush is still wet. I washed my brushes last night, but it's been rainy and miserable, so nothing is really dried. That'll do. Just tapping that in, and as you can see, it kind of just blends itself. I'm not really putting in any effort, and I love that type of makeup. I love makeup that doesn't require a PhD to function to its fullest potential. Back with the Half Magic Dew Lock setting spray. I went through a bottle of this earlier this year and I just never repurchased it. We're back. This is a beautiful setting spray. I can't really explain to you why the makeup look I'm doing gives me the vibe of a 1980s Gothic romance novel. I can't explain it. If I wanted it to be historically accurate, I'd probably just do makeup from the 1980s. But I just love the aesthetic of these books. I do. I wish we'd go back to them a little bit. One of my favorite bookish takes is that I think the big romantic titles like A Court of Thorns and Roses and Fourth Wing, they need to release old school bodice rippery covers where it's like the man with the flowing shirt and it's open and the girl in the beautiful dress. I think that would be grand. I'd be so down for that. Make sure that when you're setting your face, you also set your brows, especially if you've done quite a bit of skin prep and your foundation is quite glowy. This is going to ensure that the brow pencil applies perfectly over the top and doesn't slip and slide. Now, let's start this eye look, shall we? I love starting with like a cream shade of some variety. The Half Magic eyeshadow sticks have been like a real favorite in this household, and there's this taupey shade Phobot, which I think will be the base for today. I want this to be a more dramatic eye look, which means it's probably going to be a little bit more winged out, but I also want it to make my eyes look bigger, which means we're going to want a little bit of smoke on the lower lash line. If you smoke out your lower lash line correctly, what it should do is make your eyes look bigger, not look patchy or muddy or any of the above. You just have to be a little bit strategic. So I'm going to start building the shape of my socket contour with this cream first. Run a little bit along the lower lash line, and then we're going to take a synthetic eyeshadow brush and we're going to refine this because she's looking a mess. This will do. Just start blending that all out. This is an older eyeshadow stick I have from them, so it's a little bit drier, but generally these do have enough playtime for you to kind of pull and smooth them into place. If you're sitting at home going, Bronte, you can't put shimmer in your crease, that's against the rules. The rules are made up. The rules are made up. They're not real. You can do whatever you want. Flower Nose Deep Sea Palette. This cool toned, blue based grey. You can use whatever palette you want. This is just what I want to start with. I'm using a smaller blending brush and I'm going to start packing it in over the top of that cream to really define that socket contour and smoking it out along the lash line. Once you're done packing it in up here, anything that's left on the brush goes along the lower lash line. Bigger brush, fluffier brush, pale grey, making sure that's dry. That's our transition tone. We can now blend everything out into an airbrush, bright white eyeshadow on this really teeny tiny detail brush. See it? See how small it is? Pack that on the inner corner. I like to bring it up slightly. This is going to depend on your eye shape and your preferences. And then what I'm also going to do is, I know I don't have my brows yet on. I know I don't have my brows on yet, but it's going in as a brow bone highlight. And then I'll just run a fluffy brush over it to diffuse it a little so it doesn't look too stark. For the lid shade, I want this to be special. I think I'm going to do Glaminatrix Cosmetics' Gleam, which is one of their softer shimmer shades. But I love it so much, I really do. Just gonna press it. Then we can always go in with a spoolie and refine the shimmer placement if need be. This is an old school trick, but if you ever place down any shimmer and it's gone astray, take a little spoolie, refine it. And then because we're pretty well powdered, we can dust the shimmer off because it will kind of fall down a bit onto the cheeks probably, especially with a chunkier. When a dust away fallout, you must remember the brush should essentially just be barely touching the face. And now that I'm looking at it, I actually think I want the lid to be a little bit more blue based rather than that like lilac. So I'm gonna go in over here, this shade. Let me flip it so I can tell you what it is. Party by Glaminatrix. I think this is gonna go better with what I'm wearing too. And I'm just gonna layer it over the top. Fuck it. Layering shimmers is how you get the most ethereal eye look, honestly. And if I'm not allowed to swear on YouTube, please don't snitch. I am, however, feeling the need to ground this eye look with a little bit of liner. So I'm using the Morphe Eyeliner in, what is this called? Want? It's like a really deep brown. And I'm just gonna start building in definition at the lash line. Before that liner sets, take an angled brush, smudge it a little bit, smooth out any rough edges, and then we're gonna layer like a black eyeshadow over the top. Barely with that original kind of smaller blending brush, and I'm just gonna connect the socket contour to the liner. I can't tell you what this does for me, but I do think it does something, especially on my eye shape. I don't know. Sometimes I just do something just to do something. I think it's neat. Mascara, I'm using Half Magic. This just doesn't budge on my very watery eyes. And then we will be doing big fluffy lashes because I think it's actually necessary. See how the moment you put mascara on, it starts to make such a big difference. Just wait for lashes. These are my favorite eternally, the Lash Pop Pink Fetty lashes. I go in and out of being able to get these depending on whether or not they're in stock at Sephora, but I've never, other than the Auric Clouded Lash, which is beautiful but a little bit expensive, I've never met a lash that fit my eye better and just accentuates my eye looks so beautifully. If I just sit it on here now. These lashes just really work some magic, and I think it's that beautifully kind of doe-eyed effect that I love. I'm going to sort out my brows real quick with the Glossier Boy Brow Pencil, is it? Pomade pencil. Listen, I can't be trusted for a brow tutorial. I don't know what I'm doing. I just like them on the thinner side. Back with a little bit more blush. There's no bronzer because we're doing the Gothic romance version, not the like warm toned bodice ripper novels of the 70s and 80s. I'm just going in with the Kaleidos Contour Trio, and this is actually going to cool down the cream that we put in earlier. So for those who don't know, this whole vibe is literally a replica of a TikTok tutorial that I did that people requested I do a long form one on. When I did that TikTok tutorial, I used Huda Beauty's Cherry Red Lip Contour Stain on the lips, which was gorgeous at that time. The second and third time I used it, it was so dry. It was tricky. I don't understand. You shouldn't need a PhD to use makeup, right? It shouldn't be that complicated. However, I still have hope. I've been storing it upside down. Like, truly, I'm gonna tap it because I saw someone doing that. Absurd. We're gonna try again. Okay. Now she wants to work because I've talked badly of her. She's like, well, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna be patchy and dry in front of YouTube. I'm just gonna work like a dream, even though I've been struggling for weeks with this. Lip contour in a warm brown around the perimeters just to define the shape. Give us a little bit of dimension. Huda Beauty Juicy Pink Apple, Juicy Pink Lady for a gloss. I actually really do like the texture of these and the smell. I'm a sucker for Huda Beauty. Still missing highlight. I don't think it's necessary for this look. I actually think that the like matte base adds to the more illustrative vibe that we're trying to replicate. But this flower nose highlighter is really, really pretty and I would like to put it on. So this is from the Shell's Jewel collection. It's the one that comes with a little key ring, and let's see if I can show you this on camera. No. Oh, there we go. And very final last steps that you don't have to do, but I'm going to do because I've been sitting there staring at this little liquid eyeshadow on my makeup table and I want to put it over this eye look. I think it'll look really, really cool. You see what I mean? I look like an angel. I'm gonna go do my hair and then I'll be back and the look is done. And this is the finished look. Listen, a couple of weeks ago I got a new haircut that I'm still kind of struggling to style. I haven't really figured out the whole layered situation, so be nice. I'm working on it. I love you all so much. Hopefully if you try this look you feel beautiful, and I'll see you sooner next time. I won't leave it another month. Pinky promise.